Hey folks. So last episode we started the process of working on our AI and we set up the very basics of our NPC character, which is derived from our TF character class. This episode we're going to start work on our AI controller. So in here, first things first, we're going to do like I do with every class, private, protected, and public. And we're going to set up a controller, the controller constructor for this. So now, with that, we need to actually add some things to this. So it's going to be the F object initializer. And this is a constant reference and object initializer. And to explain and why I know this needs to be added, you just go to your AI controller, go to definition, and in here you can go through and I'm going to do a control F, put the open bracket on the end, current document, and find that. And in here we're overriding this. So it's a const, I got that backwards. I make notes of what I need to do, and I wrote this down, write it as a F object initializer constant when it should be a const F object initializer reference. And we are going to create that definition. That is setting up the basic constructor, which is what you need for your AI controller. Now, with that, there is going to be some additional things we want to add to our header file. I just wanted to get this constructor set up first. The next thing we're going to want to add is our onPossessed. And this is where the AI controller sort of takes over a pawn. So this is a virtual void on possess. Single S, double S, possess. It takes a pawn reference. Pointer. And this is going to be an override. And again, same thing as before. If you want to check on that, you want to copy your onPossessed, go into your, here it is, and just do a quick find. And you can see this is already an override, but we're overriding an override. Not a problem there. So close out of that. We're going to go back into our controller base, and we're going to create that definition. I'm trying to think. Let's take a look here. Is there anything else we need to add? All right. So looking at my notes, we don't need to do anything with the constructor, but it's all going to be in the onPossessed. So first thing you're going to do, as with most of our overrides, we want to make sure we use super on possess and just go in pawn. And the reason being is this allows any downstream logic within the class. So that's going back here. That's any logic within the AI controller that needs to execute is executed. We had that issue with a couple of our other classes we had created in the past where we weren't calling super and it caused some weird behavior. So that is the very first thing we need to do. The next thing we need to do is we actually want to have a reference to our NPC character base. So I'm going to grab this include here. We're going to throw that in our AI controller base header file, and we're going to put a private reference to that. So save me screwing up my spelling again. We're going to copy this over. Controlled pawn. Now we're going to start off by making that a null pointer. Just it's not going to let me use it. No, is it? Yep. And yeah, we're just going to leave that. We don't need a U property as far as my understanding is. I may have to change that again. So in here, as part of onPossessed, we are going to go if pointer NPC equals cast in pawn. So what this is doing here is basically we're saying if this is successful, we have... I don't like that. It's creating a variable. Let's see if actually owning... What? Oh, really? Controlled pawn. Sorry, not owning pawn. Controlled pawn. Okay, so if we have gone through and we can cast this and we've assigned our controlled pawn, we're going to be able to execute some additional logic. And this is what we want, because we want all of this to only happen if we are using one of using this on a NPC that derives from our NPC character. And I just realized I probably should have called this NPC character base. That is my mistake. However, I'm not going to go through and rename all of that. That gets a little complicated. So now that we have that logic, we need to look at our behavior tree and see, well, is that set up? So what we're going to do here is if behavior tree pointer const no, I read my notes. Const behavior tree equals, and what did we call that function? Get behavior tree. So we're just going to copy that. Equals controlled pawn get behavior tree. Okay, so that means we've actually pulled a behavior tree out. That means the NPC has one assigned, which is again something like if it doesn't have a behavior tree, well, we're not going to be able to control it. So actually what I'm going to do here is add in an else. And this is where we're going to pull up and use our logger. So I'm just going to get that include. Add that in here. Logger, get instance, add message. No valid behavior, spell that right, tree found. And this is error level. That is going to be a critical error. And the reason for that is basically if you've got NPCs you've set up and you have made a mistake somewhere and you forgot to throw a behavior tree on there for them and things don't work, you want to be able to figure out why. And that's what this is for. Basically any error level logging, I'm going to be, well, any errors you've seen with the other episodes, if you watch them, I throw log errors. So now that we've got that set up and we have been able to find a behavior tree, we need to actually start working with it. So there is a few different things that can be done there. Blackboards are the main thing that drive that drive behavior trees. And for those who don't understand, and I may be describing this incorrectly, but a blackboard is basically the memory of the AI. It's where information is stored, and it's used to be able to frequently update and make changes to that stored information. So what we want to do here is a Blackboard component reference. We're going to just call that BB for Blackboard. I'm going to use Blackboard. Use Blackboard. And this is going to be from our behavior tree. We want to Blackboard asset. And that's if it has one. And if it doesn't, it's going to create one. If it's got a Blackboard asset, pull it out of the behavior tree and assign it to this BB reference. If it doesn't have a blackboard, it's actually going to create one. Now that can run into some problems because those are created without variables. So that is something we may have to deal with later in the series. Blackboard equals BB. And then we want to run behavior tree. And I missed my capitalization. What is that not liking? Const. Oh. Why did I have const in my notes? I'm not sure. I had const in my notes for this. So this is the very basics of setting up the behavior tree for your AI. And again, this is very, very simple. A lot of your logic is going to be defined by the behavior tree itself. And that's where things can get very complex or very simple depending on what you are trying to accomplish. So, but the basics here. We have our behavior tree. So what we're doing here, just to explain, because this is sort of the core elements here, is as soon as the game starts, our AI controller is going to try and possess the pawn. So the AI controller can go, okay, do this. So we're going to try and get the pawn, and we want to make sure that it's one of our derived classes that we've created, so we know that all of, well, actually, not this logic, but we can access all of this functionality. It's all there. That's why we have this cast here. And we're setting a reference to it just because then the AI controller has a reference. We don't need to get owner, things like that, because you do have the option for get the owner, which returns an A actor, which you have to cast. But because we know within our AI controller, we're going to need to access a lot of this functionality on a somewhat frequent basis, it is much easier to have this permanent reference. It's a pointer, so the memory consumption is going to be minimal. Not something I'm concerned about. Now, if you're doing a game like, say, what was it? World War Z, the game there, where you had hordes and hordes and hordes of AI, this would not be efficient because this volume is going to be insane. And I honestly don't actually know how they set that up with that number. I'd actually love to look into that. So, but anyway, so now we've got that set up. Let's finish going through this. So we've got our reference to our pawn. And then we're going to try and get an assigned behavior tree, which we have assigned here. Well, we have here. And if we've got that behavior tree, we're going to execute some other logic. If we don't, we are going to log an error. And then once we know we have that behavior tree, we're going to grab our blackboard. Well, create a blackboard reference. We're going to try and find the blackboard that is assigned to the behavior tree. If it doesn't have a blackboard assigned, we're going to actually create one. We store this as the local reference to the blackboard within the controller, and this is just so that we don't have to. Actually, I think I'm gonna. Yeah, it's not gonna like that blackboard component. Yeah, it's a T-object pointer. That's why. The soft pointer there for the T-object pointer can't be passed in here. That was the reason why I had done this. We store that as a local reference so that the AI controller can then modify the blackboard if we need to. And then we're going to say run the behavior tree. So that is the very basics of setting up a simple AI controller. So I'm actually going to end this episode here. Again, shorter episodes for the foreseeable future. I will obviously, as I've been doing, sort of join them all together and make a long play. So, as always though, folks, thanks for watching. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. And I will see you on the next episode. So just a quick addendum here. Downside of me recording multiple episodes, I'm sort of not doing my normal builds per episode. I want to throw this quickly in here, just as an addendum. This right here is actually incorrect. We can't do this assignment. So what we need to do here is, I'm going to copy that out, put this down here, and we're going to go and create a pointer to our class called NPC, like I had done, and we're going to save that. And as you can see here is build failed assignment within conditional expression. I don't know why I did that. I was sort of not half-heartedly, my brain was saying do some refactoring as we're going. And sometimes I won't do that. I'll try and be more efficient because I didn't want to create this. And there you go. You can see the build work this time. And with that, I had done this. So actually, no, I can just do the assignment there. That sort of thing happens. You're going to make those mistakes. Don't feel bad about it. So anyways, folks, I just wanted to add that addendum to this episode just because, as I said, I had made a mistake. I wanted to catch that ASAP.